29, I was called lazy by the man I once thought would protect my dreams. My name is Emma Hayes. I was a stay-at-home wife, or at least that's what everyone thought. From the outside, my life looked simple. A small suburban house, a quiet neighborhood, a husband with a decent job in sales, and me, cooking, cleaning, and pretending not to notice the disappointment in his eyes whenever he looked at me. It wasn't always like that. When we first got married, Michael admired me. He said he loved how creative I was, how I could paint emotions into color and write stories that made people cry. Back then, he'd tell me, "You're my dream girl, Em. You've got fire." But fire needs air to breathe. When he got his big promotion, he wanted me to take a break from work. He said we didn't need my small freelance income anymore and that I should enjoy life. At first, I agreed. I thought it would be temporary. I thought he'd still see my worth even when I wasn't clocking in somewhere. But weeks turned into months, and soon his tone changed. "Emma, you've been home all day and the house still looks like this? I work 10 hours and you can't even fold laundry? You're lucky you don't have to do anything real." Every word chipped away at me. I smiled, nodded, and swallowed the pain because I didn't want another fight. What he didn't know was that while he was asleep, I was building something. Something that would soon turn our entire world upside down. It started one night around 2 a.m. I was sitting in front of my laptop editing a video. I'd been posting anonymously on a small YouTube channel, sharing budget meal hacks, thrift flips, and honest stories about life as a stay-at-home wife. I never showed my face, just my voice, my hands, my creativity. At first it was therapy. Then it became art. Then it became something more. That video. How I turned my 20 thrift finds into $500, hit 100,000 views in 3 days. Comments flooded in. Subscribers doubled, then tripled. And in a month, I got my first paycheck from YouTube. I didn't tell Michael. Not yet. He wouldn't understand. He'd just see it as a hobby. But what started as secret midnight uploads soon became a business. I made content deals, sponsorships, and even digital products. By the time he called me lazy, I was already earning more than him. He just didn't know it yet. Then came that day. It was a Saturday morning. Michael came home early from work after an argument with his boss. He was angry, bitter, and looking for someone to blame. "You have no idea how lucky you are," he said, tossing his jacket on the couch. "You sit at home all day, doing nothing, while I'm out there killing myself for us." I froze. He didn't see the exhaustion in my eyes, the hours I spent learning, creating, editing, and managing my growing audience. That was the day something inside me broke, but also ignited. If he thought I was lazy, he'd soon learn what lazy really looked like compared to driven. Because the very next week, my secret would no longer be a secret. It would be on national TV. The following Monday, I got an email that nearly made me drop my coffee. "Hi, Emma. We're producers from Morning Wave Live. We love your story and want to feature you on our show about women turning side hustles into six-figure businesses." They didn't know I was anonymous. They just loved my channel, HomeHaven Diaries. I'd never used my real name, only my voice. My stomach flipped. National TV. That meant exposure. That meant everything I'd been hiding could finally come to light. But it also meant Michael would find out. That night at dinner, he complained again about work. I wanted to tell him the truth, to share my success, but something stopped me. Maybe pride, maybe fear. Instead, I just smiled and said, "You'll see soon enough." He frowned. "See what?" I shrugged. "Just something I've been working on." He rolled his eyes. "You mean your Pinterest crafts? Cute." That sting burned more than I wanted to admit. When the day of the live show came, I told him I was meeting an old friend for coffee. I wore my best dress, a soft cream color that made me feel powerful, yet calm. The studio lights felt like warmth after a long winter. The host, a kind woman named Laura, greeted me with a smile. "So, Emma, our audience knows you as HomeHaven Diaries, the woman who built a six-figure business from home. Tell us, how did this all start?" My heart pounded. I glanced at the cameras. "It started with a little pain," I said. "People called me lazy for staying home. They didn't see the work behind the walls." Laura smiled. "And now you're inspiring millions." Millions. That word echoed in my chest. I'd hit 2.3 million subscribers by then. The brand deals, online courses, and sponsorships made my annual income something I couldn't have imagined 2 years ago. When the episode aired the next morning, I wasn't prepared for what would happen next. Michael's coworkers saw it first. During lunch, one of them said, "Hey, Mike, your wife's on TV." He laughed. "What, as a contestant or something?" "No, man. She's the HomeHaven Diaries lady, the one teaching everyone how to make money from home." Michael's smile faded. He pulled out his phone. There I was, on the big screen, talking confidently about my journey, my business, and how I turned my passion into independence. The captions below read, "From housewife to HomeHaven empire, meet Emma Hayes, the hidden millionaire next door." When I came home that evening, Michael was sitting on the couch, the TV still paused on my face. "You lied to me," he said quietly. "No," I said, setting down my bag. "I protected my dream." He stood up. "You made that much money and you didn't tell me?" "I wanted to tell you when you believed in me," I said, "but you never did." For once, he didn't have a comeback, just silence, and a look of disbelief. The next few days were a blur. Calls from reporters, brand offers, even speaking invitations. My name was everywhere. One night, as I prepped a new video, Michael came into my studio. He stood there awkwardly. "So, I saw your new ad deal," he said. "You're really doing it, huh?" I smiled softly. "I've been doing it for a while." He nodded. I didn't know you could make so much from this." "That's because you never asked," I said. He sighed and sat beside me. "You know, when I called you lazy, I was just angry. I felt like I was carrying everything." "And now?" I asked. He hesitated. "Now I see you were carrying me." That was the first time he'd ever admitted he was wrong. Months later, our marriage slowly began to heal. Not perfectly, but honestly. He left his job to start a small business, one that I helped him market through my platform. He learned to respect my work, my time, and my independence. But most importantly, I learned something too. You don't need validation to prove your worth. When my face appeared on Forbes' Women's Rising Creators list later that year, I smiled. Not for fame, not for revenge, but for that girl who once cried in the kitchen after being called lazy. Because she didn't quit. She built something in the dark that shone bright enough for the world to see. To every woman who's ever been underestimated, remember this. You don't owe anyone proof of your potential. Your dreams don't need permission to be real. Sometimes the loudest revenge is quiet success. Because one day, the very people who doubted you will turn on the TV and see your name shining where they never expected it to be.